6, a helping hand with your land.
Neil from Essex here. Today we're going to have a conversation about loader specifications and some of the ways that I've been seeing some of our competitors manipulating their specification sheets to make their equipment look more capable than it may actually be. So come along with me here today and we're going to point out some of the ways that loaders are measured and some of the things that you might not be noticing are going on. So this video was really prompted by a conversation that I saw going on in a tractor message group on Facebook. Guys are going through and listing the most important factors that they considered when buying their tractor. And I was a little bothered by the fact that so many of those guys were putting specifications, either the loader or the 3-point hitch or the tractor weight, at the top of those lists. And why that concerns me sometimes is that you may not necessarily understand all the things that play into that specification. An engineer would tell you that designing a product is a choice between different compromises. You can exaggerate different features of a product depending on the way that you choose to engineer it. And what I personally like to see is when a company really takes a holistic approach to the product that they're offering and not putting so much focus on this one singular number, the loader lift capacity. And so that's done in a lot of different ways. This loader here is a Kubota LA 1065. And one thing on this loader is that this skid steer coupler is standard equipment. And so when you look at the specification sheet for this loader, that coupler right here is included in that specification, the weight of the coupler and also the changes that it makes in the geometry to the bucket by pushing it further away from the pivot points. A lot of other competitive companies don't include these couplers as standard equipment, yet most everybody buys one because of the versatility that it gives to their loader. And so when they go and they do that spec sheet in order to have the biggest numbers possible, they're going to put that spec sheet together with a pin-on bucket that's pinned directly to the loader, bringing the bucket closer to the loader and pushing those numbers upward, sometimes quite significantly. Your bucket rollback in particular is a lot higher with a pin-on bucket because of this geometry change. And so when you go and you look at those spec sheets, you're not going to see that competitive company going through and giving you the differences of here's what it is with a quick coupler and here what it is with pin-on. They don't tell you what they're doing, but anytime that you see features and options, you always want to question whether they're included or not. And that happens in other places as well. Tractor weight is another one of them where you see that happening. You're picking and choosing the things that are included in those numbers to give the best possible perspective on your product. Another sleazy loader specification trick is where the measurement is taken for lift capacity. Many companies are going to give you a lift capacity number based solely on the lift here at the pivot pin, and you will find a lot of tractor spec sheets that only give you this number. The honest number though for what you're actually going to lift for your tractor is what's called a 500 millimeter forward measurement. 500 millimeters forward is going to put you approximately out here at the center of your bucket where your load is actually sitting, or if you had a set of pallet forks for instance, partway out on those forks for where the load is going to sit. You don't lift back here, but you'll find it extremely common on a lot of tractor spec sheets to omit that information and only give you this number. So when you make these comparisons, make sure that you're looking not just for lift capacity, but where that lift capacity is measured at. Another easy place that you can manipulate your loader specifications is by changing your loader's lift height. If you look at the LA 1065 here, from the back here at the boom where this pin is, the whole way out here to the end of the bucket, this is a significant boom. It'll lift really high. So when you go to do things like stack your bales or heap up your pile of dirt or reach over the back to load a truck, you have a lot of height to be able to clear sides and stuff. It's a very functional, important part of a loader. If you look at a loader's lift curve chart, okay, as the loader goes up, its lowest capacities are at the very top of its lift arc, okay? So generally when a specification sheet is done, that spec is based on the worst case scenario. So when that loader lift capacity is done, it is done at full height, okay? If you wanted to take your loader and magically make it lift more, you very simply could shorten your boom, right? Pull your bucket in back closer to the tractor. Maybe change the geometry down here of this hydraulic cylinder. By doing those things, you're now not going to lift as high, and because you're not lifting as high, you're taking that measurement at a lower point in the loader's lift arc, and all of a sudden you lift more. But you would take a tractor like this with this longer boom and the more height that it's able to lift, and if you measured at, say, the same point and came down, say, 18 inches or so, you're going to find this lifting a lot more. That difference in height when you look at that curve is really significant. So Loader's lift specifications are done, when they're done honestly, they're done at full height and 500 millimeters forward of this pin back here. And you're gonna find that you can probably get 50–60% more lift capacity out of your loader than what's actually shown on that lift chart when you're lifting to, say, a lift and carry position. Say you're gonna bucket dirt around or take a grapple in and grab a bunch of logs and lift up. You've got a lot more capacity there than what you might be thinking. So when I say you might have a lot more capacity than what you're thinking, it's for good reason. When loader buckets are sized to their tractors, they're sized with application in mind, right, and the work that you're going to be doing. This Kubota bucket right here is a light material bucket, 72-inch light material bucket, and the reason that I picked it is because it's exactly half a yard. Now, I found this chart online of common materials that you're going to move with your bucket, and very easily could take my half a yard and go through here and calculate my loader lift capacity versus the different kinds of material that you would lift with this loader bucket. So you can go through here and lift a full heaping bucket full of asphalt, clay, wet or dry, crushed stone, topsoil, gravel, solid crushed limestone, pebbles, rock, sand, wet or dry, salt, sand mix, snow, water, you name it, all those things. You can have a heaping bucket full and get in and lift and bucket very, very easily. Now, the exceptions to this, the things that you couldn't lift, would be things like what's called riprap, large, like 4- and 6-inch rocks, or solid limestone, if you can manage to find yourself some of that. Those you'd have to take smaller bites of. So all of those things combined would say that this bucket, heaping full, can lift all of that stuff. So if you're an engineer and you're looking at this loader and you're able to lift heaping buckets full of all of that stuff, why do you want more loader lift capacity? You don't, right? If you could take the capabilities of that tractor and give that operator, say, more height, more reach, better dump angles, skid steer couplers, you're creating a product that's better for the operator and better for the end user, even though you may not have the biggest lift capacity number. So is it an important number to know for your application? Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of guys that need to, say, fork a skid of sod or lift round bales, where you know specifically what weights you need to be able to move around. But outside of applications where you have a specific load and a specific weight in mind, I don't think for most of you it's really the best number to be walking around and looking solely on your loader lift capacity. You know, looking for something that gives you features like skid steer couplers or is engineered to have lift height is going to create a tractor and an implement better that's nicer to operate, right, and better for your application overall. For looking for this holistic approach to loader design, two other things that you want to keep in mind are the loader's ability to do multiple functions at the same time and to do them quickly. So first, on the issue of doing them quickly, we go back to that lift specification number again, and one way you very easily can exaggerate that lift specification is by trading off for speed. So by taking the hydraulic cylinders down here on the bottom of the loader and using a larger hydraulic cylinder, you're going to be able to lift more. But because you're consuming more oil in order to move that cylinder, you're doing it at an expense of speed. And speed is really important, particularly if you're doing a lot of production-oriented work. You talk to guys that operate backhoes and that kind of stuff. The quicker your implement can move through its job, the quicker you're going to cycle through things, the quicker you're going to get the job done. Another big important thing is multifunction ability, and multifunction can be dramatically different among manufacturers. All the tractors that I have the opportunity to get on and off of, one of the very first things that I will do is start the loader up and start to cycle it up and down and look for the sweet spots in the corners of where I'm able to get the loader to move up and down while simultaneously keeping my bucket level or curling it back. Those are functions that you're going to do over and over again, and there are some very, very significant differences between tractors and their ability to do that. Something you're not going to find on a spec sheet, but incredibly important to your productivity and comfort and happiness with your tractor purchase. So again, drilling back in again, that when we're looking for loaders, one number does not tell the whole story. You're looking for a holistic approach of what it's like to operate the product and its specifications in a whole suite of areas. So in summary, I think it's really important for people who are shopping for tractors to be looking for a holistic approach to their implements and really performance matching of implements to tractors for applications and not simply big numbers, right? All these things that we talked through in this loader, this tractor that we're standing beside right here can actually lift twice the amount of weight just off the ground as what it would possibly get up to full height, and none of those things are going to be fully explained to you on a spec sheet on the back of a glossy brochure. So If you're looking for a tractor and we can help, or you have parts or service needs for machines you already have, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at messick's.com.